Sandy's like, I thought I was losing my freaking mind. Okay.
All right, we'll try this again. Good morning. I'd like to call the Skagit Transit Board of Directors meeting of 17 January to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call, please. Lori, you help me with that one?
Commissioner Browning?
Hi, this is Sandy Perkins, Skagit County Auditor, sitting in for Commissioner Browning.
Thank you. Commissioner Janicki?
Here.
Commissioner Wiesen?
Here.
Mayor Donovan?
Here.
Mayor Johnson? Mayor Miller?
Here.
Mayor Sexton?
Here.
Councilperson James Stavic?
Here.
Welcome. Councilperson Holst? Judy Jones? Here. And Colin Kennedy?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum, and item number 4 is public comment, opportunity to address the board in 3 minutes if anybody has public comment. Okay. All right, we'll move on to item 5. This is a vote 2024 Vice Chair Skagit Transit Board of Directors, and I know this is always a fun time where we all avoid eye contact. But I would appreciate any nominations. And I think as chair, I was hoping that maybe a county representative would be willing to be the vice chair.
I nominate Commissioner Browning.
Second.
All right. Motion by Mayor Second and a second by Commissioner Janicki to have Commissioner Browning be the vice chair for 2024. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you very much for making that fairly painless. Next up is consent agenda action items. So again, the board should have seen all that, and it's approval of the December meeting minutes. Questions, comments, motions?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda items.
No.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Wiesen, a second by Mayor Sexton to approve consent agenda items. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and we're on to our full discussion action items under item 7. First up is item 7A, approval of resolution 2401, appointing auditor treasurer. Crystal.
In April 1995, the manager of finance and admin was appointed to serve as auditor treasurer for Skagit Transit Systems. The position of the manager of finance and admin no longer exists within Skagit Transit. The Skagit bylaws require the board of directors to appoint an auditor treasurer. The position of finance accounting manager has been performed by the functions of the role since October 2023. The board of directors, Skagit Transit, we're asking that you appoint the finance accounting manager, Chris Arkle, to the capacity of auditor treasurer for the authority to perform the duties and responsibilities of the position retroactively dated to November 1st, 2023.
Questions for Crystal? All right, and looking for board approval of this action. Commissioner Janicki?
If there's no questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-01, appointing Chris Arkle to the position of audit and finance and accounting, whatever we're doing here. I forgot. Audit treasurer.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mayor Sexton, second by Commissioner Janicki to approve resolution 2401. Any additional discussion?
Quick question, we're retroactive to November first because,
That was
does
the,
that cover the gap in whatever the period it was?
that was
Okay.
the day that we no longer had an auditor treasurer.
Okay, great. So there's no gap with this.
Right. That
retroactive.
covered, yep.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any motion carries. Next up, 7B, approved travel reimbursement for non-employees policy. Crystal.
Skagit Transit has several positions that are actively being recruited for. In order to find the candidate that will be the best fit for the organization, some positions may require a recruitment strategy of sourcing candidates from outside of the PTBA. A policy has been established to address instances where candidates will need to travel for the purpose of participating in the recruitment process. This policy is established to provide guidelines for reimbursing travel expenses incurred by candidates for employment during the recruitment process. The reimbursement will be based on the federal rates established by the Office of Travel, Relocation, Transportation, and Mail Policy through the Federal Travel Regulation, which is published by the General Services Administration and is applicable to specific travel-related expenses. This policy applies exclusively to candidates for employment who were invited to participate in interviews or other recruitment-related activities that require travel. By adhering to this policy, Skagit Transit aims to facilitate a fair and consistent reimbursement process for travel expenses incurred by candidates during the employment recruitment process, promoting transparency and a positive candidate experience. And one of the reasons that you're now seeing this policy is because those of you that attend the exit conference tomorrow, this is one of the things that was addressed in the management letter. And we also are actively recruiting a candidate rather that we're hoping to have come this Friday. And so we'd like to get her reimbursed as quickly as possible. Staff recommends the board approve the policy regarding travel and reimbursement for non-employees.
All right, questions on this one for Crystal or staff?
What
Yeah,
is the
go ahead.
PT, what is that PTBA? What is that outside of the PTB?
Public, that's us, the public transit benefit area. Thank you. Skagit Transit, the PTBA.
Just so outside of the service area. of the schedule.
Right, so it's for folks coming from outside of our area so that we can reimburse them for their travel expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Crystal, I think this policy makes a lot of sense. Wondering if I missed a part, is there a cap on a stay? Is there a cap on these per diems or?
Yeah, so we're following the federal guidelines. We had our attorney review this policy, and the one question that I asked when I presented this to her was, we have, even when we travel for business, we now are finding ourselves, excuse me, in a situation where we can no longer get rooms for the per diem rates, because now that COVID has lifted and people are traveling again, they no longer have to offer it to us. So you'll see that she made changed it. She addressed that in the policy, and it talks about, let me see what the exact language says. If lodging is not available at your temporary duty location, your agency may authorize or approve the maximum per diem rate up to 300% of per diem for the location where lodging is obtained. Other than that, we're following the federal per diem rates.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Motions, perhaps?
I move we approve the policy regarding travel reimbursements for non-employees.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Janicki, a second by Mayor Donovan to approve travel reimbursement for non-employee policy. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next up is 8, a number of information items. Start with the CEO update. Crystal.
I think we missed 7C.
Oh, whoops. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Good catch. Approved closure and 7C, approved closure and transfer of bank account.
Yes, we've been having to verbally clear checks every day and go into the bank to make transfers, so we definitely don't want to skip this one. On December 13th, 2023, staff discovered that our bank account ending in 9598 was potentially compromised due to an unauthorized check being deposited. Actually, it was cashed by someone. We don't know who cashed it. This incident is under investigation with the bank, who has restricted cash flow in and out of the account on an abundance, out of an abundance of caution rather. To maintain normal business practice while this is being looked into, staff is asking for approval to close the account affected and transfer the funds into a new account at the same bank. Staff recommends the board approve the closure of bank account ending in 95898 and the transfer of funds into a new account at the same bank.
Questions? Seems pretty straightforward. It's what you do when you lose your checkbook home. Not that I would know.
Wait, checkbook.
Yeah, exactly. All right, questions?
I move to, staff recommendations to approve the closure of the bank account ending in 9598 and the transfer of funds to a new bank account.
Yeah, motion by Commissioner Weason, a second by Mayor Sexton to approve closure and transfer of bank account as presented. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Now we're on to 8A, CEO update. Crystal.
It's just a verbal report out. I didn't include this in the packet. So you folks will probably notice that we are not presenting financials at today's board meeting. This is because after some discussion and consideration, we thought it would be better to present financials 2 months in arrears. This would allow for more time to close our books and submit more accurate financial reports. As soon as we complete the financials for December, we will send them out to the board so that you have adequate time to review them, and then they will also be included in the board packet. Is there any questions about that?
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Weason.
Is this gonna be ongoing or just a temporary issue because of the audit and so forth?
So our thought was to have that as ongoing, and the discussion between Mayor Miller and I've spoken to some of the other board members, was they thought that that was appropriate. I mean, we get our sales tax 2 months behind. It just gives us time. We're closing our books right now, and some days we literally, we have to have board packets out the same days, and we're finding that we've not received all of our invoices, so we're posting stuff back to the previous month, and this is just for us to provide better and more accurate financials to the board.
I think sales tax info is always, as most of us know, are always 2 months in
Yep.
arrears, but I think the bigger issue is probably the way the invoices work at Skagit Transit.
Yeah,
to
that's the bigger issue.
give
for
us a more accurate picture. You know, again, if I thought we needed the less accurate picture quickly, then, you know, I'd have a different opinion, but I think a more accurate picture, you know, a little bit later is probably better for the board, but open to that discussion.
May I made the request when I talked to Crystal yesterday that when the financials are actually completed, that they be sent out in advance of the board packet, and then they can of course be then attached to the board packet. But it gives me, sometimes the board packet comes out in a short enough time that it's hard to get it reviewed before the meeting, but I'd like to have that extra time to look at meetings. So like maybe even by the end of January, that might be the end of the month.
Oh, yeah, I think we can do it before that.
That we could have the financials, and then that gives us like 2 weeks before the
Yeah, definitely.
board meeting.
That's a
Okay.
reasonable.
If we got
request.
into that rhythm on a regular basis, I would be perfectly happy with that.
Can do that. As
So-
soon as he's done, we'll send them out and then attach them again with the board packet.
So we'll get the financials a little bit earlier than the
But
rest of the
you'll,
board
as long as
packet and then
everyone's
a final.
okay, yeah, as long as everyone's okay getting them twice, so you'll get them once and then they'll be included in the board packet. It's just, it gives the board an opportunity to have more time to review them.
So Crystal, do you get, how does the sales tax work? You get a percentage of the sales tax? Does that go to the bus deal?
Do we get 0.4%?
All of Skagit County?
Yes. Pardon me?
Inside the area.
Inside the PTBA.
Yeah.
There's a test.
Back to the
Thank you.
Question.
Yes, good question. If there's
All right.
nothing,
Yeah.
there's nothing else on that. So PPM, we presented the policy. You guys got a draft of that. We sent that to legal counsel for review and she has recommended that we make some changes. I was hoping that we would have time to have that out to the board by the end of this month so that we could get it to you guys in February to vote on. However, in the essence of making sure that we're capturing all the changes and not rushing through it, we're going to ask for some additional time. The board was gracious enough to grant us time through June, but we feel like we could probably get it out by the end of this month, and we feel very confident that we could have it to you guys, to the red line version, excuse me, by the end of the month so that we can vote to approve it in the March meeting. And that was one of the things that we recognized, is that we didn't send out a red line version. And I know that I even had difficulty, it's hard to know what was changed unless you see the red line version. So that will be going out. Our goal is by the end of the month, but definitely enough time to give the board an opportunity to review it, a 30-day review period before the March board meeting. Any questions on that? And I also want to note that we did update the PPM, but we're also in the process, as you can see, of developing some new policies. And Mayor Miller and I are going to meet today to start working on the governance committee that the board acted on a couple of months ago to start looking at all of our other financials. So the board will end up, in addition to the PPM and a couple of policies that the state auditor recommended, you'll be seeing financial policies come through. I want to make sure that you guys are getting all of those policies separate, because I want you to know, I want this board to know that these are new policies, either new or revised policies. I don't want them, like, for example, the travel policy today, I wanted to make it clear to you guys that that's a new policy. I don't want the appearance that we're like trying to, fold in a policy or hide a new policy from you guys. So is there any questions on that?
What is the PPM?
Personnel policy manual, I apologize. Personnel policy, and we'll make sure that you get a copy as well. Okay, if there's,
And I know we'll be asking for some more board help as we work on this governance,
yeah, do you want to talk about that a little bit? We could volunteer Browning, he's
If
not
you're
here.
willing to volunteer at this point, that's great, but I'll probably be reaching out to ask for some more help, or Crystal, and, besides just Peter and myself and Crystal, we'll need some more help from the board to work through that.
The governance policy that the board voted on requires 3. So I don't know if you want to amend that, or if we want to, I know the more people we get, the more difficult it is to try to
Right.
coordinate schedules, but it does say 3.
I'm just putting that warning out there. Looking
Okay. I mean, now's your opportunity. Peter's not here. Commissioner Brown is not here.
Oh, no, he's already in. He's
As the
already-
vice chair.
That's assumed as vice chair.
Okay. All right, I want to move on to the next one if no one has any questions about that. Cruiser is still working at MOA2. MOA2 is our maintenance, operations, and admin building. It's the new building that we're building out off Bay Ridge Drive. There's a whole session that we can go over on MOA2. For the purpose of this meeting, though, phase 1 is still expected to be completed in April. The building has been winterized. As soon as the fire suppression system is fully operational, we will be able to reduce some of the hours for security. And we're hoping that that's completed within the next 2 weeks. We are still working with our construction contractor to remedy the overpayment of taxes. So that's been an ongoing challenge. Any questions on, well, let me finish with the architect. We start mediation with TCF on March 14th. We've notified them that we've signed another contract with an A&E firm to complete the design phases for 2 and 3. I did have a meeting with the principal there, and I let him know personally that we've brought on another architect for that, and asked him to please have a collaborative working relationship with the new contractor as they come on board. They've already asked, the new contractor has already asked for Revit files and some other things that they're going to need. So there's going to be some on-site visits from the new architect, and I didn't want it to be awkward with the other crew there. So I wanted to make sure that they knew that we're onboarding someone else and hoping that this can be a smooth and collaborative transition. So even though we're in mediation with them, they assured me that they would be professional and that we would have a collaborative transition. That's it for MOA 2. Is there any questions on that before I move on? All right, let's talk quickly about our key positions, our key staffing positions. The Director of Finance position, which was formerly the CFO position. We got help with Clark Newber in writing that job description, and that will be posted by next week. The grants manager, we've had a number of candidates apply for this position. We've narrowed it down to a few candidates and hope to fill that position by the end of the month. And that's part of the reason why we tried to get this non-employee travel reimbursement policy through, is because we do have at least one candidate that will be actually the end of this week will be coming. Capital projects manager, we have received quite a few resumes for that position. Most of them do not meet the MQs. Of the ones that have met the MQs, we've gotten pretty far with a couple of candidates to the point where they've done several interviews, on-site interviews and site visits. And none of them have accepted the job offer because of the pay. They can go to Seattle and make a lot more money. So we're struggling with pay on that particular position. And then we have the operations manager position. We're still actively recruiting for that. Those are really all of our key positions right now. Is there any questions on staffing? Okay, I'll move on. The state audit. Our state audit was completed in mid-December. I'm happy to report that we did not have any findings, but we did receive a management letter that identified 6 areas of opportunity for improvement. Many of those were directly related to lack of policies. We're currently working on correcting all deficiencies. The state auditor will be conducting an exit interview tomorrow. The meeting invite went out a couple of weeks ago, and we did post for quorum just in case, just to make sure that we were compliant with OPMA. And then we received the full report yesterday, which I had Laura send out to you as soon as I received it. I'm sorry for not allowing the board more time to review that, but I had her send it out as soon as I got it. And then Mayor Miller, if you saw, there's a letter that they actually drafted that we had to put on our letterhead, and the expectation is that they have it back by tomorrow. So when you have an opportunity, you can review that and let's get it back. Is there any questions about our state audit? That's tomorrow at what time is it? 3 p.m. Those you should have all, I know most of you have already accepted the invite for that. So yeah, I'm expecting it to be a rather short meeting since we didn't have any findings, but tomorrow at 3 p.m. Any questions on the state audit or anything that I've updated you on?
Crystal, just as a FYI, I'm in a different meeting at that time because normally I would be in on a audit or a exit conference. So
Would you like us to record it for you?
if that's allowed, that would be great.
I don't know that it's not.
There is a Zoom option, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it went out via Zoom. So
So it could, yeah.
when we start the meeting tomorrow, or actually I'll reach out to Sasha, our auditor today, and ask her if she has an issue. I don't see why she would. That way you'll have an opportunity to review it at your convenience.
That would be great. And I got the letter, and I appreciate the conversation about it too. So thank you.
Thanks. That's it for my verbal update.
Right, and I've got a 8B as a Knox.
I know I can't say it either.
Naloxone,
Naloxone.
yes, that's what.
I was
I would say Narcan, but.
Yeah.
well, me too, but Narcan is actually the brand of the
Yeah, okay, that's
So-
why I haven't learned to pronounce that one.
Commissioner Janicki and I were practicing this one
Okay.
yesterday because I have a hard time with that word too. So you'll see that this policy rather is included in the packet. It's included as an information item rather than an action item because I wanted to give the board and the AFSCME a full 30 days to review it. If there's any questions, please review it and let me know. As the board knows, just since I've been here, we have had 2 overdoses. One I believe was on a bus and one was in our restroom. That one just happened recently. So I feel like it's really important. We really tried to expedite to get this policy through so that we're providing some level of resource, if you will, for those in need. Hopefully we don't need it, but we have it there. So anyways, this is it's going out as an information item today. If there's no comment on it, then we will ask the board to approve this policy at the next board meeting.
I'm sorry, I don't know where that's at in this thing, but could you just give a brief, what's the plan? Is it just having all this on all the buses or something, or what?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your
What,
question.
what is the policy, or what is the plan?
So we'll make sure that it was sent out as a link, which I understand, I just found out you didn't get, so we'll make sure that you get that so that you have the policy. It just simply spells out the who's going to be, so we're setting up the policy so that we have authorized employees that are allowed to administer the Narcan, because I can't say naloxone, that can administer it. And it spells out the training that's going to be required. We have a tracking spreadsheet to track who has it, if it's been used, replacement. It only lasts, I think, for 6 months. So we have a replacement schedule for it. Just an overall policy on our usage of it, or who's allowed to use it. So we'll make sure that you get that policy as well in case you have any questions or comments.
So is this a brand new policy? So we don't have one now?
It is a brand new
We're saying-
policy. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, something that I think that all the transit agencies, it's an epidemic that we're kind of all experiencing. So
So because the board's getting a good early read, if you have issues, it would be great if you could get that back to Crystal with that.
and Mayor Miller and I spoke about this at our last one-on-one. We're going to make sure that you guys get all of the new policies so that you know what's coming out as a new policy with the full 30 days for review, so that if the board has any comments or questions, that there's ample time to review and ask questions and make changes if necessary.
Question on page 5 on that, it's the appendix B. And let's talk about the intermuscular. We're not going to be doing that.
No, our plan is to only get the nasal spray. Mhm.
Moving on to item 8C, which is the CAC December report. Judy.
Okay, thank you very much for this. It's going to be a really brief report, but it was busy. So we welcomed our new member, Daniel Kiangu. He was officially welcomed by the CAC at our January meeting. We also found out through Brad that they're going to have February as an appreciation event for us. That was a nice thing to do, but we're cordially inviting all board members to attend February 13th, Skagit Station, 4:30 p.m. If you can, that would be great to have you there. We're also going to have apparently a consultant with the long range planning studies be present to take any feedback on services and so forth that we have had. So our homework as members, as committee members, are to basically bring in all of the suggestions and things that we have had in the past few months regarding making services more efficient. The other thing we did, very importantly, was we reviewed the proposed language changes to the 2024 bylaws draft that we have, and we're going to do an official recommendation vote to forward that to the board so that hopefully you will approve our new bylaws. Our next meeting again is February 13th, 2024. Respectfully submitted, Judy Jones, CAC Chair.
Thank you, Judy. Next up is 8D December ridership. Crystal or
Yep, just a quick update on ridership for 2023. We saw a 20.1 increase over 2022 for fixed route, and for para 23 saw a 23.2% increase over 22. So ridership is definitely increasing, and I attribute our Brad can speak on this if he wants, but I attribute a lot of that to our free fares for youth.
Thank you, Crystal. Yes, we've certainly seen significant growth in our youth ridership. And I would also credit the great efforts that our customer service staff and our drivers do every day to help us keep the customers coming day after day as our repeat riders.
Great. Thank you. Anything else on ridership? All right, 8E, this is Crystal's gonna talk about response to December 20th public comments. Crystal.
So I provided a written response to the December 20th comments. I didn't think it was necessary or appropriate since this is a business meeting to discuss that here, but I did want to provide a written response for the board. Just want the board to know that we are listening, we are responding, and obviously we care about the relationship between ourselves and the AFSCME leadership and the drivers. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next is item 9.
I would like to
Oh.
respond.
Oh,
I know she said
okay.
there isn't the time, but I kind of feel like it is.
Okay, Colleen.
Comments.
Do you have a microphone that you can, or were you gonna just give her a piece of paper and?
No, no,
Uh,
no.
uh,
No, I'll back the microphone. I'm
Okay.
gonna print off 4 copies of this.
Okay.
But this is disputing what she said about the drivers not having access. She said that
Okay.
everybody doesn't have access to the restrooms.
So remember, these are recorded, so if you can get to a microphone, these meetings,
Do we get copies?
You said, the memo you sent
Okay.
to all the drivers.
What email?
The memo that you sent to all drivers on December 1st.
Oh, okay.
And you had said that everybody was excluded from the restrooms, but this contradicts that. And if you notice also, it says that if for us to access customer service, then we now have to go through our supervisor, I guess. And they contact customer service rather than the drivers being able to talk to customer service.
okay. Again, we'll keep working these issues. Some are CBA related and some are just management related, so.
Yep, the
Thanks.
next page of her comments says the things have hot water. The hot water at the Skagit station shuts off every 3 seconds. So after 2 minutes, it begins to get warm. A couple pages over. Let's see, statement violated. Skagit Transit did not receive any route improvement suggestions prior to the development of the new route changes. That's because we didn't know there were route changes because meetings were not held. There's a page that she listed all of the dates that she has met with AFSCME leadership. The first date is October 1st, which happens to be a Sunday. So there was no labor management meeting. 2 things on October 20th are listed: a video review per AFSCME request and MOU for interim safety and training coordinator. I was at home waiting for a plumber. And I touched base with Joe Downs, our Council 2 representative, and Soren Jensen, and neither one of them have any idea what those meetings were. The next page on November 8th, it says that there was a route committee meeting. I was not at work that day. It did not exist. Nobody attended. Below that, November 8th, it also says a safety meeting. That's just like the board meetings. They're just held once a month. That has nothing to do with AFSCME. November 17th, December 1st, December 6th. It all says that there were negotiations and labor management meetings. They did not take place. There were no labor management meetings. There were negotiations for the dispatchers. December 21st, it says negotiations and labor management. Once again, there was no labor management meeting. As I had said previously, the last labor management meeting we had was October 12th. And January 3rd, there was negotiations and a labor management meeting. The labor management meeting lasted 7 minutes. It also says that a driver was called in and had a myriad of complaints, but they weren't included. Some of the complaints were, do you not see the notices and all the disciplinaries that come across the desk? Why is one person written up and another driver does the same thing and isn't disciplined? Every policy put in place is taking things away from the drivers. Crystal has not made one step to meet with drivers. There should have meetings to discuss changes, not just implement and threaten termination or discipline. Crystal does not know her employees. A good boss says, what can I do? I used to be proud to come to work. I feel unappreciated. A fence is being put up. And then she lists all kinds of things that they've done to make drivers feel appreciated. I'm not sure how an ugly sweater contest or a Halloween contest makes drivers feel appreciated. But I guess it's the thought that counts, maybe. I don't know. But those are my comments.
Okay, thank you, Colleen. Again, I know we're challenged. We're trying to be able to separate out general complaints about management versus collective bargaining, and we'll continue to work to improve the communications between management and staff. So with that, we will need to go into a closed session for collective bargaining negotiations per RCW 4230-140. And how much time? I didn't get the amount of time.
Very less than 5 minutes. It's gonna be
Okay.
very quick.
Okay, so we'll go with 5 minutes at 11:43.
Browning's replacement, Sandy Perkins has that link
Okay.
to the exec session.
Okay, so all right, so we're at 11:43 and we'll be back at 11:48. 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Okay, call the Board of Directors meeting. The closed session is complete. And item 10 is just adjournment. And if there's no further business, please, yeah, Commissioner Janicki.
Just one observation, when we did roll call, the council member from Mount Vernon, I think needs to be updated. I don't know what that process is, if it's just a council decision, I think, or a mayoral appointment or a board action. However that happens, we need to update that council member position.
And we have a council member appointed to the board, and I just let Crystal know about that today by email. New council member Andrew Vanderstoop is going to be joining us on the board.
Great. Thank you for that info. Okay. With that, I will adjourn the meeting.